All right, let's get right into it. We usually think success is all about mastering a skill, right? Or maybe a market. But what if the real secret is mastering the hidden rules of your own mind? And what if that is the key to understanding everyone else around you too? That's what we're going to break down today. How the stuff that happens inside your head is what really determines your success out in the world. So let's start with a question I know we've all struggled with. You set a goal, you're excited, you've got this perfect plan, and then a few weeks in, all that energy just vanishes. Poof. Why does that happen over and over again? It's a super common frustration, and there's a good reason for it. And here's the twist. It's probably not what you think. The reason most of our goals fizzle out isn't a lack of willpower. It's that we don't understand the game we're playing. It's like we're trying to win a really complex game of chess without actually knowing the rules. These hidden psychological laws that are secretly guiding every single move we make. So, where do we even begin? Well, not with some huge life-changing effort. Nope, we start small. This first part is all about building a real, practical foundation for success, one tiny, almost unnoticeable victory at a time. The core idea here is to completely shift your thinking from intensity to consistency. We've all been sold this idea that discipline has to be this massive, heroic, all or nothing push, but that's not how real, lasting change works. It comes from tiny, repeatable actions that eventually just become second nature. So, what does this actually look like in practice? It's beautifully simple. First, you pick one tiny action. I mean, something so easy it almost feels like you're cheating, like just writing down your top 3 priorities for the day. Second, your only job is to repeat it. Don't worry about making it bigger, just do it every day. Then track it. Seriously, a simple check mark in a notebook is incredibly powerful. And finally, and this one is so important, you have to allow for rest. Discipline without recovery, that's just a shortcut to burnout. And this just nails the point perfectly. It's not about how big the action is, it's the rhythm of doing it. Think of it this way. Every time you complete that tiny action, you're casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. You're literally building evidence for yourself. And that's what strengthens real, deep down self-confidence. Now, what are the common traps that trip people up? Well, a big one is trying to start with a plan that's way too rigid, or maybe having no system at all. Ignoring rest is another classic mistake. But maybe the biggest one of all, the trap of comparing your day one to someone else's chapter 20. This journey is yours and yours alone. Okay, so the practical steps are pretty clear. Start small, be consistent. But why? What's actually happening under the hood here? Why does something as simple as writing down 3 little tasks have such a massive impact? Well, this is where we get to the really cool part. Welcome to the psychology behind it all. In this section, we're going to dive into the hidden rules of your mind that make these simple habits so ridiculously powerful. And trust me, this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Let's start with a concept called apperception. Now, it sounds like a fancy, complicated word, but the idea behind it is actually super simple. It means you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. Every single new thing you experience is filtered through the lens of your entire past. So check this out. That simple habit of writing down 3 priorities, it's actually a powerful hack against something called the law of information distortion. See, our brains naturally let information get fuzzy and warped over time. But the second you write something down, you create a concrete, unchangeable anchor. You're fighting that natural mental fog and creating total clarity for yourself. Next up is a big one, the law of self-preservation. At our core, we're all wired to protect our self-image, our dignity. Think about why setting a huge public goal can feel so terrifying. It's not just the fear of failing, it's the fear of what that failure would do to our reputation, our status. That's why criticism, even from ourselves, usually makes us defensive instead of better. And this is precisely why starting small is such a genius move. A tiny private win doesn't threaten your ego. There's no public status on the line. It doesn't trigger that self-preservation instinct at all. So you get to stack up these small private victories and build real, earned confidence from the inside out, totally bypassing that fear of public failure. And finally, there's the law of compensation. This basically says that if we feel weak in one area of our lives, we unconsciously try to overachieve in another area to make up for it. So by consciously building a win in one simple habit, like reading for 10 minutes a day, you create this amazing positive ripple effect. That feeling of control and success spills over, giving you the confidence to tackle bigger things. Okay, so Mastering yourself is the critical first step. But here's the kicker. These psychological rules, they don't just exist inside your own head. They are the invisible architecture of every social interaction you have. Now we're going to see how understanding your own programming helps you decode the entire social game. I mean, just think about it. The same laws, like our need for self-preservation or our desire for status, they're running in the background of every team meeting, every family dinner, every negotiation. Once you understand the operating system of your own mind, you suddenly start seeing the code that's running on everybody else. And this isn't just some abstract idea. Psychologists can actually map these invisible forces. What you're seeing here is called a sociogram. It's basically a visual map of the relationships inside a group. The lines show who's connected to who might be an outsider, and you can start to see where the real power and influence actually are. It makes the invisible social structure visible. We can even get mathematical with it, which is kind of wild. This formula, for example, is used to calculate a person's sociometric status. It essentially quantifies their influence by looking at how many people in the group are drawn to them versus how many reject them. It's a powerful reminder that social status isn't just a vibe, it's a measurable dynamic. And these dynamics cause people to fall into predictable rules. Recognizing these archetypes is like a superpower. You have the manipulator, driven by the need to control. Then there's the protector, who is so supportive they might actually stop people from growing. And of course, the judge, who's always looking for what's wrong. Do any of those sound a little familiar? So, after going deep on our own psychology, and then looking at the wider social game, where does all of this leave us? Well, it leads to a really surprising, kind of paradoxical conclusion that true freedom doesn't come from having no rules. It comes from having the right structure. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? We've been taught to think of discipline as a cage, as a restriction, but it's the exact opposite. When you build consistent habits, you create predictability. You create a foundation of trust in yourself. And that confidence, that's the ultimate freedom. The freedom to act, to choose, and to build the life you actually want. So to wrap this all up, what are the big things to take away? First, real mastery isn't about huge dramatic leaps. It's about small, consistent steps. Second, your reality is being filtered through these hidden psychological laws, and you can learn to work with them. Third, understanding your own rules is the key to decoding the entire social world. And finally, the biggest takeaway of all, structure and discipline don't trap you. They set you free. So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. Knowing that you're guided by all these hidden rules, but also knowing you have the power to influence them with tiny actions, what is the one simple rule you could start today to begin rewriting your own story?